Close the doors. So welcome everyone to day two. I did want to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we're meeting and pay my respects to the elders past and present and Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today. I hope day two is going to be quite a different day to day one. Day one was, I was saying before, lots of issues, not necessarily all solutions, but at least it's great to have some of these topics out. My sort of summary of day one, and I'm going to ask you to participate in the summary in a minute, is our data's not great. I wrote that down, so we've got to do something about that. There is this dynamic of price versus value, which I thought was really well explained yesterday, so that's something that I wrote down. Make sure you stay in stock. And that was kind of a big theme through the day. There are 800 products and more coming on the market of different forms and different prices. So that's going to be an interesting time. So we're not short of choice at the moment. But I did want to say again, congratulations to Lucy on receiving the inaugural ONJ award. Very well deserved and very exciting, and I think very appropriate for all of us. So. If you missed that, that was pretty amazing to hear from Olivia's husband and also to have that award given to Lucy, who's done so much for the industry. So today's focus is obviously much more on overseas trends, export opportunities. We're going to talk a little bit about R&D, but we're also importantly going to hear a little bit about patients and patient journeys and some of that experience, which I every day try and remind myself of is the critical part of what we're trying to do here. We should never lose sight, despite all the other things going on, that we are offering solutions to people who are desperately in need of them. So that's going to be a key focus of today as well. And then at 7 p.m. tonight, we have the dinner up in Crown Avery, which is, there'll be people and more instructions at the end of the day, but it's basically across the road, third floor. There are elevators across the road, sort of on this side of the Crown complex. There are two sets of elevators that take you up on the third floor. So that's going to be exciting. A relatively new venue actually in Melbourne, the Avery. I did want to do one thing with all of you, and I'd ask you, unlike every other moment today, is to pull out your app. If you haven't got the app on your phone yet, you're in big trouble, we know you. Please take it out and open it up. You can see the instructions there. You'll see on the app that there is a thing called Social Wall down the bottom, or sort of bottom right-hand side. There's a piece on the app called Social Wall. Oh, it's on the left on that, but on mine it's there. Wherever it is, Social Wall, open up Social Wall, please. And what I'd like you to do is just briefly spend the next 2 minutes entering into Social Wall what you got out of day one, what you thought were the one or two key things that were critical for you, that you learnt that was important, and that you thought was something you were to take away and do something with. So 2 minutes just to quickly enter something. It doesn't have to be 500 words, especially to the journalists in the room. 15 words or less would be fine. So just enter that in, because I think it's really important for us to understand collectively what people got out of the day yesterday. Later in the day, we're going to ask you, although you don't have to wait until later in the day, we're going to ask you to give feedback on the 2 days in total in the meeting. There are probably things that occurred to you that were missing in the agenda. There were things that logistically perhaps didn't work for you. Please feel free in that section also to provide solutions, opportunities, suggestions, criticisms. Feel free to add whatever you like. As we leave this meeting, we will then immediately start to talk about what are we going to do next year. Clearly UIC is in February, so our step out next year will be maybe somewhat different. This forum, after we've done it for 5 years, the 6th year may be somewhat different. So we're going to talk a lot about that in the coming few weeks. Your input would be amazing. So we're obviously doing these meetings for all of you. So with that, I did want to firstly, as always, thank our partners and sponsors that make these whole sessions possible. We really do appreciate all of the effort and the contribution. I think the whole area out there has been fantastic with the trade displays as well. Thank you. Make sure if you haven't seen the trade displays, you go out and get an iPad connector from MedTech and a coffee on the way through. The registration will be fully staffed. If you've got an issue, you've got a question, please go out and talk to them. That's going to be always there. But I did want to start the day by a special introduction and thank, we do have a special guest here today. That's Councillor Dr. Olivia Ball from the City of Melbourne to welcome us. Thank you.
Good morning and thank you very much. Excuse me, my name's Olivia Ball. I'm a former councillor turned counsellor. That is, I was a psychologist and now I'm on Melbourne City Council. Boom, boom. But that is my connection with the health sector, and I'm very pleased to be with you here today for what I'm sure sounds like a huge day after what I understand was a very successful day yesterday. I want to add my acknowledgement to the thousands of years of health and well-being and knowledge and technology that have existed in this place, on this unceded land of the Wurundjeri and Bunurong and Boonwurrung peoples. Is their profound knowledge and connection to country that has seen them living through ice ages and volcanic eruptions and colonisation. So I add to Peter's my respect for the elders of this land and acknowledge that their sovereignty was never ceded. I hope you'll join with me in committing ourselves to justice and truth and treaty. So I want to also acknowledge Peter Coetzee and thank you for the introduction, and all of the speakers and organisers. Putting something like this together is a mammoth task, and all the participants outside and beyond. Welcome to you all for day 2. In between being a psychologist and being on Melbourne City Council, I worked 20 years in human rights, and you would be aware that health is a human right. We have a right, all of us, to the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health. We at the City of Melbourne recognise that we play a crucial role in creating the environments and circumstances where people can flourish, where public health is promoted, and we enjoy we support the health and well-being of our community here in the innermost part of this great city. It's why the City of Melbourne is so pleased to support this conference where you can meet in person and have that free-flow exchange of ideas that ultimately lead to better health outcomes for the community. It's through our business events sponsorship program that we support a remarkable range of gatherings like this, where the brightest minds come together to focus on whether it be the life sciences, AI, fintech. We connect women in science and many other such gatherings. Your commitment to better understanding and advancing the medicinal cannabis sector contributes to health, of course, but also to jobs, development and trade. Melbourne is proud to be a global centre of knowledge with a proud history of medical and health innovation. The jewel in the crown of Melbourne is our biotech and medical research sector. We are home to 40 leading biotech research institutes, 7 major teaching hospitals and 9 universities with campuses here in the centre of Melbourne. We're also home to many of the top 20 ASX-listed medicinal cannabis companies, with Victoria cementing its position as the Southern Hemisphere's hub for the cultivation and production of high-quality medicinal cannabis products. It's no doubt because Victoria was the first state in Australia to legalise access to medicinal cannabis for patients in exceptional circumstances, beginning in 2016. And since then, we've seen the state government encourage investment in medicinal cannabis industries so that they can supply half of Australia's medicinal cannabis by 2028. and in the process creating an estimated 500 jobs. You've got a big day ahead of you for day 2 with a terrific lineup of speakers, so I hope you will enjoy it and learn from each other and continue to carry out the exceptional work that you're all doing to improve health outcomes for everyone. If you're not from Melbourne, anyone come into Melbourne especially for this event? From anywhere else? That is fantastic to see. I would hope and encourage you while you're here to take some time. I hope you have time to explore our city, because there's always plenty on offer, whether it's our exceptional dining, cafes and bars. The harder they are to find down some laneway, the more that we love them. And strolling, perhaps not today, maybe yesterday was a nice day for getting outdoors into our beautiful parks and gardens. But great, whatever the weather, Melbourne is renowned for its world-class theatre. So if you love musicals, you can see Wicked, the Rocky Horror Show, or Grease, that are all playing right now in Melbourne. And Tim Minchin's musical adaptation of Groundhog Day is here in Melbourne right now, and I highly recommend it. You're also spoilt for choice for what we used to call straight theatre, but let's say non-musical theatre. There's a new Australian play called simply 37, and it's earned this review in our major broadsheet. The reviewer said, "I wasn't a footy fan until seeing Nathan Maynard's 37. This funny, big-hearted, vigorous and accessible show is unquestionably the best theatre about football I've ever seen." And he gave it 5 stars. What I'm saying is, make sure you get to see a show tonight or tomorrow night if you haven't already. Also, the National Gallery, a short stroll from here, has a blockbuster exhibition entirely free called Triennial. If you get to the NGV, you can see global contemporary arts practice over multiple floors. There's something for everyone. It's quite mind-boggling and astounding and fabulous and free. So what's not to love about that? Enough from the promotion of Melbourne, but I hope you do enjoy your time here and get so much out of this conference. And thank you very, very much.